Good afternoon. Welcome to Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue. Thank you for tuning in to KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. I'm your host, Greg Ferrera, a local real estate agent with over 25 years experience. I work over at Good Vibes Real Estate, which is locally owned and operated in Boise, serving the entire Treasure Valley. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, Mr. Clint Walker of Summit Funding, located in Meridian. And Clint has over 20 years experience in the lending industry. Hello, Clint, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Greg. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm glad you're here, and good afternoon.
Man, I'm glad I'm here.
Now, Real Estate Rescue is one of the Treasure Valley's top resources for up-to-date, real-time real estate sales information, statistics, and current trends. You'll also get great tips on home maintenance, remodeling, and updating, as well as new and creative financing options with Clint. Folks, we're here to provide you with accurate, up-to-date information, resources, and assistance in all areas of real estate and finance. We want to put our extensive experience to work for you, the great folks of Idaho. For those of you who are getting ready to move or perhaps needing some temporary storage, our friends over at Pro Relo Group are here to serve you. Whether it's a local move right here in the Treasure Valley or somewhere across the country, they're ready to go. Reach out to them. I encourage you to go to our website at realestaterescueidaho.com. One more time, realestaterescueidaho.com. And if you'd like any information from Clint, myself, or the folks at Pro Relo Group, please scroll down to the landing page on the bottom, fill the form out, and we'll get back to you right away. Now, you can also reach us at our new email address, greg@realestaterescueidaho.com. That's Greg, G-R-E-G, at realestaterescueidaho.com. Or please always feel free to give us a call directly at 208-559-0590. One more time, 208-559-0590. I want to thank you for taking time to tune in and join us today. We're looking forward to a great show. Clint.
Yes, sir.
What are you thinking?
You know, I'm thinking that, weather's starting to change.
We're starting to be careful, it snows.
I know. Sometimes it snows immediately. Sometimes it comes in hard. It comes rain and snow, and we just don't know what's going to happen. But, hey, guess what? Great weather this week, huh?
I took the studs off.
Well, fine.
Even if I
kind of laughed at that because I grew up here and I never had studs on my cars before, but especially not my truck. But hey, you know what? That's all right.
It's those adventures. Yeah.
You are adventurous.
Yeah.
That is so true.
I've been stuck a time or two before.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Folks, we have got a great show for you today. Thanks for tuning in. Clint and I are blessed to be here. The market continues to move along, and homes are coming available on the market. Clint, I noticed we're having an uptick.
They're coming up. I know that the numbers have changed, haven't they?
It's getting interesting.
Yeah, that it is.
However, you've got to be prepared.
Always.
Whether you're a buyer or seller.
That's right.
So today, folks, we're going to talk a little bit about
being prepared.
Okay. As a buyer. Ooh. Things to look out for, and sellers. I know we're all hearing, Clint, about the multiple offers and what's going on, and we're going to talk a little bit today. Yeah. Stick with us about the pitfalls, the pluses and minuses to that multiple offer situation that's going on regularly. We want to be careful with buyers because we want you to be careful walking into sales situations without any professional, experienced representation.
That's correct. Speaking of that, do you mind if I just share this real quick? It's kind of an interesting story. So a customer called me up and they said, hey, you know what? We have a better quote with someone over at Quicken Loans. Hate to bring up the other side, but bring up Quicken Loans, and I'm sure they do a great job. And I said, and I don't know why I said this, but just out of the blue, I said, hey, real quick, I said, just call your guy at Quicken and just find out how long he's been in the business and where he worked out before. And I said, before you go down that road, because I think it's important you work with somebody that actually knows what they're doing and has been around there and knows what to do. And he says, yeah, no problem. And I just let it go at that. I got a phone call 2 days later, and he says, you know what? I think we're going to go with you. And I said, okay, tell me why. What happened? He says, well, we called Quicken. He's been in the business about 3 weeks, and he came from Subway sandwiches. I said, if you feel comfortable about that, you just go right ahead.
Experience makes a difference.
Experience matters. Now, I've heard you say that 100 times. Experience matters.
Well,
right?
We're going to talk about that today because it makes a difference.
Yes,
and
it does.
On the surface, you can't really tell.
You don't know.
Until you get involved, and when maybe your life savings is at risk.
Yes.
Or potentially you're getting ready to retire and moving your family, and every dollar counts today.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, also, the other thing we're going to talk about is it might be time to capitalize on this market and actually sell.
Very nice.
Yep.
Good idea.
So we're going to have some fun today. Spring, you just mentioned, is it here yet?
You know, part of it is here. Super warm, but you know what? That could change.
We could get a snowstorm.
Next week, yeah, we get a snowstorm. We get a snowstorm in June. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen.
Here's what I do know, Clint. People have cabin fever.
Yes.
And not normal cabin fever, because last year, remember, we got to stay in our homes and experience the lockdown.
You have cabin fever
on steroids.
With an id on the end of it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So it's
COVID fever.
Yes. It's going to be really interesting. That's a new term. Folks are going to be making some plans and making changes, Clint, and I think we're going to see some very interesting things take place in the market. So we're going to talk about, is it time to sell? No guarantees on the market continuing to go up, Clint. I have the stats.
Yeah.
We'll go over those here in a few minutes.
Awesome.
Wow. This is absolutely a seller's market.
Yes, it is.
No question. This is, I'll call it the gold rush in the Treasure Valley. We can't guarantee how long it's going to continue unless you know. Crystal ball?
You know, unless I get the updated crystal ball, because or the Magic 8 Ball wasn't telling us much of anything other than outlook looks good or sometimes it's bad, right? So we need the crystal ball. Somehow we got to come up with the crystal ball. We're going to find one someday.
So we got low interest rates. I call it the perfect storm.
Yes, it is.
We got record low interest rates, low to no inventory, and unprecedented demand in the valley.
This is true.
So we're going to talk about some strategies to navigate through that.
I like it.
Before we do that, a couple reminders. Search options we have on our website, folks, just for you, Real Estate Rescue, Idaho.com. You can hit the tab. It says search for homes, and there's a whole area there you can search for homes throughout the valley. You'll generally get an email from us just saying thank you. If you have any questions, let us know. We won't be stalking you, so have fun. Please enjoy that. And if you do need something, reach out to Clint or I. Mm-hmm. And also, if you're looking for home valuations, there is a button there too. If you're thinking about refinancing or thinking about what possibly your home might sell for, do also be aware that that information comes through the MLS, but will be a little bit delayed. So there may be some differences in the value actually today. So give us a holler if you would like some help. And Clint, the ads that run that people pay cash for homes. I want to be really, 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 I want to be sensitive to that. So if anybody is looking, they're in a situation where they need to sell and they're looking to be cashed out, give us a call. Let us know. There's a lot of ads running. People will just send you an offer, sight unseen, over the phone.
Yep.
And we're here for you. So our job is to help you and take care of you and create a win-win situation. So please reach out to us if we can help you.
Yep.
And then the last one, before we kind of get to the pricing, is be kind. Our favorite one.
We have to. Right now, I think it's very important, isn't it?
We're coming into transition. Spring's coming eventually.
Yep.
And people been through a lot of challenges.
Last year.
If you just watch the news or listen to the radio, lots going on. So please be kind to the folks around you. Do the nice, kind things you can think about. Pick up that phone. Clint and I always talk about that phone was
Pick up the phone.
Created for
You never know what people are going through, do you?
Nope.
Ever.
So be kind. 2021. All right. Let's have a little fun here. We got a couple minutes on the financing world.
All right.
Interest rates, you say, have been going up and down.
Up and down, up and down. I'll tell you, it's like that all the time, isn't it? We had such a great run for what? 8, 9 months, 10 months?
Uh-oh
is
said
right.
had.
We had such a great run. Well, if you think about it, we all knew that it wasn't going to stay down on those low twos, right? But it's funny, you see this advertised all the time. Do you still see the advertisements of the low interest rate? I still see it all the time. I see it at 2.6, 2.8, 2.3. I see advertisements under 2%. Who's actually getting that?
That's a good question.
Right? Yeah. So who's actually offering that? Are they really offering that? Or is it the perfect scenario that you have to be in? And then when you get there and find out you're not in the perfect scenario, numbers change. Uh-oh.
Are you saying there might be some surprises?
It's happening all the time. We see that happening all the time. We have people coming back to us saying, you know what, you quoted us this, and then all of a sudden I got there and it changed. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. And it wasn't the same.
And it wasn't the same.
Yep. So be careful.
Yes.
So we got rates kind of moving around a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay.
They're up and down, but still, think about it like this. It's historically low. I mean, we talked about when you bought your first house, and I bought my first house 150 years ago, right? Rates were above 10%. They were 11, 12, 13%, right? I mean, and if you go back to the 80s, they were how much? They were way back, right?
In the teens.
In the teens. So this is incredible. The
Well,
rates
they're
are
super
still
low,
amazing.
no question.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So let me move to the appraisal topic. I had a conversation with one of the appraisers this week. Two of them actually had called me, and boy, they were sharing some stories.
Were
Things
they?
are starting to get a little rough in the appraisal world in some cases.
It is, isn't it?
Going on.
Yeah. Hard to keep up with that.
Wow.
Really.
Yep. They said they were working overtime.
Yeah.
Just to keep track. The new program, the HERO program, want to make sure that's still in play.
there.
We talk about that. The HERO program is a special program that came to be because of the COVID
Because of the COVID
crisis, I guess.
crisis
Yep.
for our first responders,
Doctors,
right?
nurses.
Nurses, and our men in uniform. Okay, firemen, policemen. Okay, all of our first responders, retail workers. I mean, there's lots of people involved in this. Hey, it doesn't hurt. If you're looking at qualifying, interest rates are low. You may be able to qualify for maybe what you don't think you can, right? It may be there, and it may be an opportunity for you to do that.
And there's some income parameters on that. Right?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
But that's why I say that it may be an opportunity for you.
Well, Clint, we need to get to a quick break.
Yeah, very good.
And then we need to continue. Folks,
Yes, sir.
we're going to head to a quick commercial break. You're listening to Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue on KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. We hope you're enjoying the show today. Stay tuned. Clint and I are going to do a little deep diving on prices in the Treasure Valley. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. I'm your host, Greg Ferrera with Good Vibes Real Estate, along with my co-host, Mr. Clint Walker, and his Creative Solutions team at Summit Funding. Welcome back, Clint.
Well, thank you, Greg.
So I wanted to catch back up where we were, talking about the HERO program, and then, you know, we always talk about having your financial world, your strategies, when you're getting ready to purchase, having those in order. And then I was just thinking about, we're working with a couple of folks right now. You are specifically doing refinances.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're having to go through a process that's requiring a little patience.
You
Want
know,
to speak to that?
Yeah, so it does. There are some times when you have to have a lot of patience. Unfortunately, you don't know what's coming, right? You don't know where a person's financial situation is, and where it really comes into play are those who are self-employed. Okay, I understand because I've been there for a long time. You have to be very creative. Sometimes you have to go back and you have to amend your tax returns because you didn't make enough to qualify based on what your debt is and how much the payment is going to be, right? You did fine when you bought the house, but things have changed because, hey, you need to write stuff off. I think it's very important that you do, and that's why you get with your accountant and you go through that process, and they find ways for you to save, right? So you don't hurt yourself in the process. So sometimes we have to do that and get a little bit creative, which means that we've got to go to the accountant. We've got to get a little amendment on your returns, or you got to file the new ones, or you got to make some changes. But you know what? We go through it. We know exactly how to. We know how to talk to the accountant to get it to where we need it, and we're also very creative. Okay, in helping you go through that. It can be very tricky if you're not paying attention to it. If somebody doesn't know or understand self-employment, they can't help you understand or get through that as well, right? And so there's so many different scenarios, you just never know.
So if anybody's listening out there, they're self-employed and they felt like, it'll never work.
Never work.
You're saying it can.
Sure it can.
Give it a shot.
You bet.
Okay. So realestaterescueidaho.com.
Yes.
Get a hold of us.
That's
let
right.
us know. And so I wanted to touch on something else, Clint, that's come up a handful of times and potentially more often now, as homes are not appraising.
Yeah.
And the buyers, whether it be a refinance or a purchase, buyers are getting stressed, transactions are getting delayed. Just for our listeners, can you kind of explain how that happens and what the dynamic in the relationships is between the real estate agent, the lender, and the appraiser?
Yeah. So, how many years ago? Back after the crash of 07, 08, right? Mm-hmm. When all of that went down, everything changed, and we're not allowed to, as a lender, to speak with the appraisers and have discussions about value and other things like that. We're not allowed to go through that. So we're kind of at the mercy, right, of what the appraiser is going to look at and do. And you just hope that appraiser comes through and brings the value that it's supposed to. But as you know, in this market, it's changing every single day.
It is.
So you may have comparables that were done 3 or 4 months ago, but as you know, in the last 30 days, that could have increased by 20%, right?
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it is. And so that makes the difference. If somebody's trying to do a refinance, if that makes a difference, if somebody's trying to make an offer on a purchase and they can't buy it for the $400,000 that they want to buy it for, so they got to offer $450 to get it. Well, all of a sudden now you have an appraisal that you have to worry about and try to achieve, right? If you can get there. So with as competitive as it is right now, that's the dynamic. So you as a realtor, you can call up and give comps and do those things. We cannot. We have to go through a third party, and then they have to go through this process. And so it can take a little bit more time if we have to go through and say, hey, look, I don't agree with your appraisal. I'd like you to relook at it. Let's kind of go back to the drawing table, right, and see if we can come up with something better.
So if you get involved in that, folks, hang in there.
Yeah, it can take a little bit of time.
Yep. Have some faith. Don't bail out. And I also want to emphasize, Clint, that's not the lender. If the appraiser comes in low value, that's not.
Has nothing to do with the lender.
Yep, it's the appraiser.
Yeah, they have to stay out of that.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to kind of clarify that. That can be a little confusing. So as the market continues to be competitive and prices are astoundingly high in many areas, folks continue to be willing to pay top dollar. You see that, tens of thousands over.
Yeah.
I do want to spend some time today talking about some of the pitfalls of that. But
sure, absolutely.
Let's get into the stats. Your favorite part of the show.
This is it right here.
Make this kind of fun. So folks, in Ada County, this week there was 208 active listings, and the criteria that we use here at Real Estate Rescue is 3 bedrooms or more, 2 bathrooms or more, 2-car garages or more, and a half-acre or smaller lot. It's a single-family home. So in Ada County, there were actively 208 homes available, averaging $640,000. New construction had 131 of those, averaging $615,000. And Clint, the starting point was $399,000 for new construction in Ada County.
Wow.
$400,000. And then existing or resale homes, there were 77 of those, averaging $683,000. That's close to a high for us.
Yes, it is.
And the starting point there was $299,000.
Okay.
Now, drilling down to the communities, Eagle, Idaho had 11 new construction homes, averaging just over $700,000. The start on that was $469,000, going up to $1.5. Existing or resale homes, there were 8 of those, averaging $1.080 million.
Wow.
In beautiful Eagle, Idaho. $525,000 was the floor, the low price on that. In beautiful Boise, the new construction had 22 active listings at just over $1 million, $1.055. The floor on that was $399,000, and we still have that 3.9 home that's been
still there,
hanging around there. Yep. And then existing and resale, there were 26 homes available. Average price was $764,000, and the floor, the bottom price was $399,000. So $399,000 on both in Boise to get into the single-family residential market. Meridian, now right next door. New construction had 57 homes, averaging $519,000. Start on that was $466,000 in Meridian. The high was $749,000, and then existing, there were 24 of those, averaging $616,000, and the floor on that was $359,000. So in new construction in Meridian, to get in the market, it was $466,000, Clint, and then existing or resale homes was $359,000.
Unbelievable.
Pretty astounding, is it not?
Yes.
Now, right down the street there in Kuna, new construction, there were 40 available homes, averaging $484,000, under $500,000 in beautiful Kuna. $419,000 was the start of that, and $575,000 was the high. There was 9 existing homes, averaging $412,000. $299,000 was the start, and $724,000 was the top. So new construction Kuna, $419,000 to get in the game there. And then in Star, new construction, I found 1 home at $535,000. And existing, there were 7 homes, averaging $523,000.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and the low on that was $359,000, and the high was $899,000.
In Star.
Astounding.
Where's Star located at? I'm just kidding.
Teasing Kevin Miller.
Yeah, we have to.
Now, in Canyon County, active homes, there was 107 of those, averaging $436,000. New construction, there were 77 homes available in Canyon County, Clint, averaging $461,000. The start and the sale price was $348,000, $350,000 to get involved there in new construction, Canyon County. Existing, there were 30 homes, averaging $391,000, and there was a house there at $245,000. And then new construction in Nampa, there were 53 homes, averaging $465,000. The low beginning price was $349,000. And there were 18 existing homes, averaging $413,000, averaging $245,000 to get going there.
Wow.
And then Caldwell, new construction, there were 16 homes at $428,000. The low was $375,000. And existing homes, there were 8 of those, averaging $330,000. Now, Clint, we have to get to another quick break here.
That fast?
Really, really soon.
All right.
Yep, but prices are They're stable. They're high. They're stable.
They're there.
Takes a lot to get in there. Yep. Folks, we need to take another quick commercial break. You're listening to Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue on KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. Hope you're enjoying the show today. Stay tuned. Clint and I are going to do a little talking about what happens in a multiple offer situation and what buyers need to do to compete.
There you go.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. I'm your host, Greg Ferrera with Good Vibes Real Estate, along with my co-host, Mr. Clint Walker, and his Creative Solutions team at Summit Funding. Clint, welcome back after the break.
Thank you, Greg.
Good
How are you doing?
Good.
Awesome.
Good. You know, we were talking during the break about what's kind of happening with buyers. And I thought we've talked about it here. Let's kind of dive into this. People get interested. They have friends looking. They might be looking. They're hearing stories. You know, one of their friends secured a home. I had some folks this week we were talking and about the prices.
Yep.
And they said, "Oh no, we had a friend secure a new construction home for $260,000." That was. They found out it was actually last year. That home's now almost $400,000. That same home, if you could get it.
If you can buy it.
Yep.
Yep.
So I want to be careful with buyers. I want to be very sensitive to their situation. I also want to caution them to be careful, Clint, and I think you'd support this. Be careful walking into new construction subdivisions without professional representation.
100%.
In many cases, a lot of these agents, most of the time, they're working for the builder.
Oh, yeah,
They're
for
not
sure.
working for you. And it's not just that. It could be open houses.
Yep.
And then just direct sign calls. So I hear a lot of stories each week about buyers who get involved in some situations, and then by the time they want to make some changes, it's too late, and the feeling of helplessness can be overwhelming.
So, Greg, I want to ask you a question. You know that because the market is just crazy right now, and everything, all these offers, everything's going fast, as fast as you can go, right? That'll change, right?
It sure will.
It will. And what happens when that changes? So, based on you going into an open house and they're not helping you, you go to a subdivision, they won't help you because they're working for someone else, not for you, if you don't go in with the professional help. When that happens and it changes, as a realtor, what happens?
Well, I would still share, Clint, that when you walk into a new construction subdivision like people are doing,
Sure.
because it's so difficult, and I acknowledge, with the multiple offers going on, it's tough. People get discouraged. They get frustrated. You know, they get their home, their emotions and their heart set on a house, and then they can't get it.
That's right.
And they go, well, why don't we look at new construction? Because in some cases, if you plan ahead, you don't have to compete. You can get a lot and get your home in a year. But I'll share, Clint, that I'm passionate about people being aware, especially today with what the market's doing. Even in a changed market, when you walk into that subdivision, those people that you say hello to, they work for the builder.
Yeah.
They are not working for you. And I could probably share tons of stories because I get them every week. People asking for help, asking for advice because they didn't get professional help.
That's right.
And have an experienced real estate agent help them who understands, who's been through this process before.
Yeah.
And even in some cases, Clint, we find that the folks that are there are actually employees of the builders. They aren't even real estate agents,
Yeah.
which can lead to some more challenges.
That's right.
So I just want to be sensitive to that. And then, you know, where you're coming from the lender part, I know that when folks walk into some of these situations, when they're working with you, they get told, I don't want to say fibs, but, you know, they could get led astray.
Sure.
Or misled.
Right.
You want to speak to that at all when they walk into another situation? Somebody tells them how great their lender is.
Sure, because people always say, and especially, you know, realtors will say this all the time that, hey, go out and get a couple offers, get a couple bids, right? Go talk to multiple, get multiple ideas and options, right? And so people will do that, and they'll go out there and say, hey, you know what, I've got this one, it's just a little bit lower than yours, right? Well, just because it's lower doesn't mean they're going to close on time, doesn't mean that they're going to get all their questions answered, doesn't mean they're going to get the best scenario, right? And doesn't mean that that's exactly what you're going to get when you finally get into it and you finally produce all of the information that you need, right? The situation may change just a little bit. We've seen that happen a few times. So be aware of that. What you have to find is you have to go and find who is going to fight for you, right?
Isn't that the truth?
It is the truth.
Yep.
Who's going to fight for you, and you have to know that person is going to fight for you. They're going to go in if the situation has changed and it's not in your best interest. Who's going to fight for you? the person that's new on the job, person that doesn't understand the scenario, doesn't understand your scenario, doesn't understand maybe their job the best. So are they going to fight for you? Not necessarily.
I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to, because this is pretty serious. You know, I'm passionate about this, Clint. We talk about this all the time. And the details that go on in a real estate transaction, especially when you're doing a new construction home and there's deadlines and there's periods, and you've asked for certain things. And I couldn't tell you how many people will call and say, well, Greg, I was supposed to get these windows and it's too late. I don't get them now. You know, they're still charging me or this. There's several things are going on.
Sure.
And you walked in and then, our commercial, you're in trouble. And then you get disappointed because this dream home that you have, all of a sudden, a couple of things didn't work out just the way you want. And so I made a couple notes, you know, the home inspections. Do you do a home inspection on a new home? It's an
Maybe
opinion.
you have to. You don't. I mean, I don't think everybody can catch every little thing that happens, right? And so somebody's putting it in. They're putting the materials in. They're putting in the plumbing. They're putting in the electrical. They're putting in all this stuff. Doesn't mean that they caught it, right?
So if I said in the Treasure Valley right now, the real estate market's going fast, what would you think?
Oh, it's fast.
So do you know a single builder in town that slowed down in their board?
Nope.
Along with their crews?
Nope.
So things are getting missed.
Yeah.
And details are getting missed, and deadlines are getting missed, and buyers are getting in trouble. And so I just want to encourage you, if you're out there and you want to get some help, the reason Clint and I are here is because we care. We've been doing this a long, long, long time, and we're here to help you avoid those situations.
Sometimes, Greg, it's anticipating what's going to happen so we can help guide them through the process without having to go through the uh-oh.
Well, and sometimes those phone calls are just, they're asking for clarification when I get called.
That's right.
And you would think the folks they're working with would have given them the clarification.
Maybe they're too busy.
And it's,
maybe they have way too much going on, and that's where you talked about missing a couple things, and they're just too busy and they can't keep up with it. That's probably most of it.
Hi, thanks for your $450,000 new home here we're building for you, but we're too busy for you.
We're too busy and we forgot about this and that's going to happen in a market that's
it happens sometimes
like this.
Yeah, that's the builder tolerances. So, folks, we're reaching out today. I'm passionate about this. There are a lot of new construction subdivisions. It's easy to walk in, and everybody's nice, and things look pretty. And, boy, you get down the road without help and without some good representation of folks who really know what they're doing, and you can get in trouble.
Yes, sir.
So be very, very careful. Closing deadlines can change, especially now with we have COVID. We had the fires last summer, and we keep hearing rumors about what's going on. Possession is a whole nother one.
Yeah.
When do we actually get possession of the house? Closing costs. And again, the market is going so fast, Clint. I watch this. It happens all the time. People get excited. They're looking online. And then those new homes there's just dirt. The other one's the open house.
Yeah.
I mean, those agents in there are not there to help you get the best deal.
No, they're here to sell. They're going to sell that house, right? For the highest bidder?
For the seller.
For the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Almost feels like an auction.
Yes.
You ever been to an auction?
Yes,
Yeah.
several times.
Boy, a lot of fun, aren't they?
They're exciting.
Boy, they get going.
I can't speak auctioneer.
No,
but
I
that's
can't
kind
either.
Of fun.
Yeah, it's quick.
But that's a bad way to buy a house. Up goes the price.
Yes, it does.
So we want to encourage you folks, if you want some help, let us know. We're here for you. The market is challenging, a little treacherous at times.
So it can be.
Especially right now with things going so fast. And we have a lot of people with sometimes, Clint, not a lot of experience and expertise.
That's right.
Maybe in positions, making decisions or helping people, or in a position that may be representing to help people that they're making some mistakes.
Yeah.
And I hear about it a lot in the new construction realm, but also you get it when we walk into open houses, or you just make the sign call and you call that listing agent, and, you know, agents are supposed to always be honest with you, but at the end of the day, you know, they've been hired by the seller to represent the seller.
That's right. It kind of a two-edged sword, isn't it?
Well, it can be tricky.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then you're here on the lending end. So if I'm a buyer right now, somebody asked me a question, and I know we're going to have to get a break here shortly.
Yeah.
But Clint, when we're approved, how long does that last for? You know, if I'm approved and my interest rate is, 2.875, whatever the number is.
Yeah, I mean, interest rate, if you were approved 2 weeks ago, interest rate was 2.875, and you thought that's great, and then last week it changed, and all of a sudden it's 3.25 or 3.375, depending on the day. So depending on when you need to lock or when you don't need to lock, right? Because rates changed immediately, and then they drop back down, and they're back down at the 2.9 and the 3 and the 3.0, and then they come back up today, and then they go back down tomorrow, right? I mean, it is just nonstop. It's just always moving.
So it's interesting as you say that. So as I'm out as a buyer, because, I think more people are actually aware of the market and what interest rates are doing.
Sure.
They talk about it a lot everywhere.
Yep.
And so when you and I are having this conversation, I'm kind of wanting to go, okay, if I'm a buyer, I got approved, I'm out looking.
Yeah.
How long is my 2.875 quote that I got from you yesterday? Is that good today, or is it subject to change today, or good till Saturday, or how's that work?
It's subject to change in the same day.
Oh,
So it could change literally the same day. Last week we had 4 price increases in one day.
so what's a rate lock? I've heard,
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Sure. If you have a property picked out, if you kind of know where you're going to be at, you can lock one in. In fact, you can lock it out 180 days if you want to. The cost is there, and you have a potential of locking it in. You pay for that lock. You pay for it up front. If you want to lock it out that far, you'll pay for it up front, usually around a point, depending on what it is, usually about a point. But you have a free float down during that time.
Gotcha.
So if you lock it in early, saying, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen, I want to lock it in now, and this is what it's going to cost me, you can do that. And during that time that you're waiting, you can have a free float down. So if rates drop during that time, you have that option of going down during that time.
Clint, we're going to take a break, but I want to
do it.
continue this conversation.
Okay.
Folks, you are listening to Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue on KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. We hope you're enjoying the show today. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk about sellers and finish that conversation with Clint about locking in a rate.
You got it.
We'll be right back. Cancel. Welcome back to Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. I'm your host, Greg Ferrera with Good Vibes Real Estate, along with my co-host, Mr. Clint Walker, and his Creative Solutions team at Summit Funding. Clint, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Greg.
I think that was an interesting topic.
Yeah.
So the moving targets.
Yes.
Because buyers are getting their hearts broken because somebody outbid them or they fell in love and something came on, they didn't get the house.
Yep.
So 4, 5, 8, 10 offers later. And I think that's personally a crime as a professional agent. You shouldn't run your clients through that kind of emotional ringer, if you will. But just for people listening today, Clint, we were talking about this. So it's kind of a moving target. I was curious if you can share, when I walk out of your office yesterday, I have a 2.875 interest rate. If I wanted to make sure that that was stayed that way for 30 days, can I buy that?
Sure.
What's that cost?
We can lock it in depending on what the rates are at that time.
Is it a dollar figure? Is it a percentage?
It doesn't cost you on a 30-day lock to be able to do that. It's just, it doesn't, when you close on the house. So when you close on the house, based on if you've already picked one, right? You can certainly lock it if you want to, and yeah, they might have a little cost to be able to do that, but or a fee when you close, right?
So somebody's listening and they're saying, Greg, okay, you got a 30-day
this?
lock, but you don't find the house for 2 weeks.
Well,
Whoops.
then you're kind of trouble. Uh-oh.
Takes a month to close. Uh-oh.
Yeah, how are you going to extend it? It's going to cost you more to extend it, right?
What's your advice, Clint, in this?
I would say at that point, if you haven't picked a house, you don't know yet, then you just go with the market as it goes until you pick one.
Okay.
Then we lock it.
All right.
If you want to try to lock it early and you say, here's the price range that I'm going to be in, this is what I'm going to do. Because you got to be pretty close. The problem is if you go in to make an offer and you're at $400,000, you end up $450,000. That's all changed.
It can be a challenge, huh?
Yeah, it's a challenge. So in today's market.
So your advice is get approved.
Get approved.
The market is what it is today.
Be ready and be approved, because what you don't want is you don't want to get in there and you say, I'm going to go make an offer on a property. We're going to go take care of that. And then all of a sudden, I've got a couple credit cards and now my DTI is too high, or I'm not going to be able to qualify. And so now I can't be competitive in this market and go after a higher price because now I don't qualify for it.
So it sounds like the relationship with your lender is pretty important when you're out in this volatile market.
And if you think about it on your end as a realtor, and you have to go in and be competitive, how do you be competitive if you don't even know what they qualify for, right?
Well, I can tell you that trying to deal with some of the folks on the internet, I'm not naming any names,
right,
but some of these companies that you're trying to deal with, they don't get back to you right away.
Yeah.
They might be on the East Coast, yet I need to know what my cost is going to be because we're writing an offer and I have kind of a budget I'm trying to work within.
Yeah, and you can't get a hold of them, can you?
Not calling my local guy.
That's right. But you can't get a hold of them.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's just frustrating,
Yep.
right? So you want to be able to have somebody you can get a hold of, right? And that's, again, what we talk about. Who's going to fight for you? Well, Greg, that's why you're here,
Yep.
and that's why I'm here. That's why we have the team that we do. That's why we have the teamwork together, you and I working together, right? And the team that I have of people back at the office that are going to help. So if I happen to be gone, if I happen to be out of cell service, you have multiple people you can contact, right? If you happen to be gone, guess what? You can get a hold of me, and I can help you through this process as well to help in your with what you're doing as well.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, so it sounds like it's an adventure. But go with the guy who's right here and knows what they're doing. Experience, folks, speaks
Matters.
loud today.
Experience
Yes,
matters.
It matters.
Yeah.
Now, we got a few minutes left. Multiple offers. Is it time to sell? I call it the perfect storm. Clint, with the new administration, and this is not a political show. It's in the morning. Real Estate Rescue is a real estate show.
Yeah.
However, politics change the dynamics of our real estate market.
They do.
And they appear to be doing that a little bit. So we've lived through several of these ups and downs and market
Over the years, that's for sure.
swings, if you will. And so my thoughts are, if you're thinking about selling, that sun's going to come out and stay out. It's going to start warming up. The market's going to pick up. And I'm not so sure this isn't the time to do this.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's pretty strong.
Depending on where you're at. So let's talk a little bit, Clint, about the multiple offer situation.
Okay.
On the face of it, it sounds pretty exciting. Kind of like happy birthday until
Yeah.
you're a certain age. You know, when you were 12.
Then you don't want to know anymore.
Happy birthday was cool. And nowadays, who's what? No,
No, I don't even want
So multiple offers kind of the same way.
Yeah.
It sounds like fun. This is kind of cool. They're going to bid up the house.
Okay.
It wasn't too long ago. We've helped several of our listeners who have trusted us, helping them get moved and in their relocation and transition. And we went through the multiple offers. And it is amazing when you've been around for 25 years when you look at the guts of the offers. Because in many cases, as you know, as a lender, the offer price number might not be real.
That's right.
Or it may be subject to so many things and conditions that have to come together. The chance of that happening could be slim and none.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases right now, we're having a record number of homes, as what I share with you on a weekly basis, are coming back on the market because they're fail sailing. And they were in these multiple offer situations.
Okay.
So it sounds good, but it can be very confusing. When's closing? Is there possession after closing? And I just had one the other day. We had to make an adjustment. We'd gone over that 60-day period that these specific lenders did not like the seller continuing to stay in the house over 60 days past the closing date. So, folks, in many cases right now we are negotiating. Folks are coming in and out of town. There's even right here locally, we've negotiated several with the new construction extensions that are going on, and folks are needing a place to live when they'd agreed to get out. So there's a lot of the lenders have a 60-day deadline that you have to understand that. And then, you know, intentions overall, Clint, when you see an offer and everybody kind of agrees in the big picture, and then the details get you.
Yeah.
Earnest money, how much needs to go down and when. Home inspections, I would call it miscommunication. Nobody picks up the phone. They just sent an email and we thought. An example here, last month, one of the builders had sent an email to the group one weekend and then no addendums. We didn't do any paperwork. They just arbitrarily decided we were going to change the closing date.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Can really cause some
It
challenges.
makes a lot of difference.
The lender was not stressed in that case.
No, you think?
Caused them problems. Yeah. So financing, from your perspective here, Clint, when my wife and I are looking at this house, let's say it's $449.9 is the list price, and all of a sudden, you know, they let us know we need to get to $475 to make this happen. Okay. Well, we qualify. You tell us we qualify.
Sure.
I don't know if I can dig up 25 grand under the pillow, but I qualify. What's that look like from your perspective? Because this is pretty common today, and we just got a couple minutes left.
What's the appraisal going to come in at?
Well,
it's a question, right?
I'm hoping 475.
Okay, and if it doesn't, do you have the money to come up with the difference?
Can't the lender just work that out in their fees and figure out something for me?
Why not? Just throw that in there. Yeah, it always works out that well. Can you come up with the difference? I mean, you've been doing this a long time. How hard is that right now, especially?
It's a challenge.
It is.
So
It's a challenge. So that's a question that has to be brought up, right? Have we seen it the other way where the realtor did not ask that question? Yes. Absolutely. And we've seen it before. Absolutely seen it. And the customer comes back saying, I don't understand.
It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Or we're looking at the financing side of it saying, hey, guess what? They don't have enough to cover it if it doesn't come in. I hope it comes in all right.
It's a tough deal.
Boy.
Folks, these are situations that are happening all the time here in the Treasure Valley.
Again, anticipate what may come. And the only way you can do that is by experience.
Yep. Clint and I are here for you.
That's right.
every single day. Folks, we want to say thank you for joining us today. This is Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue. We had a great time. Hope you did too. If you're considering buying or selling, or you need financing assistance, please reach out to us. Website's realestaterescueidaho.com. Again, realestaterescueidaho.com. You can also reach us at our email, which is greg@realestaterescueidaho.com. That's Greg, G-R-E-G, at realestaterescueidaho.com. You can call us directly at 208-559-0590. Again, 208-559-0590. If you need help getting moved in or out of Idaho, or maybe just need some temporary safe storage, reach out to our folks over at Pro Relo Group. You can reach them through the website, realestaterescueidaho.com. Folks, remember, here at Greg Ferrera's Real Estate Rescue, we believe in old school principles, the power of the personal connection, where a handshake, a phone call, and your word still matter. Have a great week. Don't forget to join us again here next Saturday at noon. Until then, take care and be safe out there.